father would always wake us up Saturday morning to the sound of house music. It was just a matter of time before I started DJing house music.
When you're dancing to house music, it's about releasing, it's about reaching a euphoria.
House music is love. Family is truly love. And if you don't have none of that, baby.
While I'm on the dance floor, I disconnect with everything and I go in connection with the DJ. That's my dance partner right now.
I mean, where would a DJ be without a dancer?
When you're playing a great song and everyone is out there just lifting their hands and dancing and you feel that soul, that's a great DJ.
I play strictly for the dancers. My love for music comes from watching them dance.
Not to boast, but no one can touch me, because that's how free I feel.
When you're in that zone, you just do amazing things and you don't feel anything.
It's a very emotional process that happens between you and the dancers.
It's like that is home. Dance floor is home.
You have all this happening in front of you.
I actually don't know what my feet are doing, what my body is doing. I'm just connected with the music. It makes me move, it makes me the dancer that I am.
You need people who know house music to play house music for, to exchange the energies.
This is something that's for people who are spiritually inclined and connect because they are listening and dancing to house music.
House is important because it helps us heal and it brings us together.
I feel that we're music messengers, and that's what we do. I mean, we spread this love around the world. We give you what's come from within us.
Welcome to another episode of Talking with WIT Kevin and Son. Today's episode is brought to you by RMK Productions and the 10 United Podcast Network. And through the power of our story and our voices, we want to uplift you. We want to share your experiences, view your perspectives, and using the framework of teaching, learning, and modeling. Our purpose is very simple, ladies and gentlemen. We want to create hope, helping other people every day. But before we go on and dive into this interview, and this interview is going to be something special, I want to go ahead and thank my sponsor, Clay's Bakery at 700 Lancaster Avenue in Bryn Mawr, PA. Phone number is 610-647-2119. Talking about a sweet taste of life. You talking about cakes and pastries to die for? My friend over there, Denise Clay, hey, all you got to do is ask and she'll deliver. So look her up the next time you're looking for a sweet sensation. This is Kevin McLemore. But that's not why we're here. I am celebrating a friendship that spans more than 25 years of a young lady that I knew as an editor when she was coming up. When I look back on her resume and we talk about the 25 years of experience she's had in the film business and all the people that she has worked with, like directors like Spike Lee, Tim Robbins, Robert De Niro, Ron Howard, Edward Burns, the great Woody Allen, the late and great Miss Penny Marshall, Nora Ephron, Ted Demme, Regina, and Warrington Hudlin. She is currently, she runs a PR company called Pfeiffer Design, a guitar design company in New York. She's also a service coordinator of various post-production facilities in New York and production assistant at WNBC TV, WPIX TV, WNYC TV. I'm not sure if there's more than 24 hours in a day, but this lady is pushing the clock. You talking about doing something, being an overachiever. I'm going to tell you, I'm not going to hold you back a little bit. I'm just going to let it go right now. All right, I'm going to welcome our guest. She has a new documentary called The Music's Got Me. I'll wait till you see it. I want to welcome our guest, my friend, Miss Kristen Johnson. All right, Kristen, welcome to the show.
Hello, Kevin. Thank you. I appreciate you having me on your show.
Man,
At the first of the year, New Year 2024. Thank you very much.
you are one of the first few guests in 2024. Matter of fact, I'm going to have you back, and I'm going to ask you at the end of the show to come back because I want to showcase people and their secrets to their success. And I know you've got a whole list of what it takes to be who you are. So I'm going to ask you back later on when we talk about the secrets. So we're showcasing people no matter where they're at, no matter how successful they are financially, no matter how successful they are in the community. I'm showcasing fathers that are raising kids on their own, and they've got kids that are productive, and mothers the same way. But, you are in a business where just your presence of being a female, you got to overcome some stuff, and you have overcome your stuff. I mean, these names, oh God, congratulations. And I even know Denzel Washington is attached to one of your stories. So, the background, but that's not what we're here to talk about. You've got a new documentary. I got the music. Oh, I love it. And when I want our listeners to learn, how this story came about, how it's supposed to touch you and where you're going with it and what's on your plate next. But first of all, let's peel back the pages a little bit on your story. How did Kristen begin? Where does all this start from? Tell us about you.
Well, it goes back to the decision I made to go to college to study television production. And it just continued on from that point on. Upon graduating from college, I worked at WPIX, as you mentioned. I worked at WNBC as a production assistant in both those television stations, WNBC, WPX in New York City, the top market in the news industry. And from that point, I launched myself into the world of what's called post-production. And post-production facilities in New York City and throughout the country, actually, what they do is they are responsible for the editing of commercials, of videos, music videos, and so on and so forth. So I got to work at ground level at those facilities and got to I got an understanding of the editing process. So while I was working at those facilities, I decided that I wanted to launch myself into the film business, which was pretty bold of me to do that in my 20s because I knew no one in the film business. So I got an idea to get what was called, and I don't think it exists right now, it's called a yellow book. In the yellow book in New York City was all of the production companies and all of the productions that were being filmed in New York. So what you could do is you find out who's shooting, and generally the mayor's office, because the mayor's office has a department called the Film and TV. And they have a listing of all of the productions that are taking place in New York City at any given time. And you find who's shooting, get a contact person, and try to get a meeting with that person. So I did that in production, but I also did it with production companies. And I did what stockbrokers used to do, cold call. I just made a list of calls and see who responded to me and set up a meeting. And that's how I got myself in. That's a short story as to how I got myself into the film business. In terms of the first film I worked on, just happened to be with Spike Lee. He's a New York filmmaker. I'm a New Yorker. And I pretty much did the same thing, but the way I got to Spike Lee's 40 Acres and a Mule production company was one person had me go to one person. It was one person after another. The final person that I spoke to that gave me a telephone number for one of Spike Lee's production managers happened to be an African-American man at Fortune magazine. And I cannot remember his name right now, but we had this interview, and at the end of the interview, he said, you know, great interview, love to meet you. It was great meeting you, but I don't really have anything right now. And he did what I call the Peter Falk syndrome. And Peter Falk had this show called, can't remember the name of the show, he played a detective, Columbo. And every time Columbo would walk out of a room, right before he opened the door, he would say, but you know what? There's one more thing I need to say. And this is what this man did to me. He said, and right before I walked out of the door, he said, you know what, Kristen? There is somebody I can put you in contact with. I can't make you any promises, but, and he gave me the person's name, Preston Holmes. Preston Holmes now is a big time producer in Hollywood. And I got to meet with Preston Holmes. And during that discussion, that interview, sorry, the only thing he can offer me, because I was what you call green, no experience in the film business. And I was going for the production assistant position. So he offered me an internship. Now, what I didn't tell him during that interview was I already had a full-time job at a post-production facility, one of the #1 ones in New York City. But I didn't tell him, because what I wanted to do is do both. I wanted to hustle. That was my first introduction to hustling the legal way. And from that point, in that film that he brought me on as an intern happened to be Mo Better Blues, Spike Lee's Mo Better Blues. So from Mo Better Blues, I went from Mo Better Blues to Jungle Fever, to Malcolm X, to Summer of Sam, to two other films I'm not remembering right now. And so I'll just fast forward. So that started my film industry experience. And that was working on the film set, which is called production. And I got just a great amount of feet on the ground experience in filmmaking, right? And now I'm working in production, and I make this decision that I want to launch myself into post-production. Post-production has to do with the editing, the music, the marketing, all the stuff that happens after the film is shot, right? So I do that. I talk to one person, I talk to another person, and I end up getting into the union. And for most non-white people in the industry, it was pretty difficult to get into all the different unions, whether it's costumes, the camera department, you know, any union. The film industry has a variety of unions. So I wanted to get into the editing union. And the great thing about working with Spike Lee is whatever film he produced and directed, he pretty much demanded that these unions accept the people that were working in these different departments. So my internship turns into an apprenticeship, which is now a paying thing. I made some money, not a lot, but I did make some money. And now I'm preparing to get into the union, which eventually I did. I got into the union. So I moved on from working with Spike Lee. I worked on about 5 of his films. Like I said, the first 2 were working on the film set. The remainder was in post-production in the editing department. And I went from working with Spike Lee to Tim Robbins and Susan Sarandon and Ron Howard and a list of directors that you previously mentioned. And just, you know, now I have production experience and post-production experience. And all the other experience that you'll get in working in a film industry is what you hear, right? How is that film marketed? How is it distributed? You know, what are the campaigns that they're designing and putting together? There's so much that you can learn while you're in the production seat, because you're with the director, you're with the assistant director, you got all these people that make up the collaborative force that makes up producing a film and shooting a film. You got the camera department, the makeup department, the costume department, all the electric departments. That's great experience. Now I'm in post-production. Now I get to see, with all that footage that they shot, now I get to see, how do you put it together? How do you put that, you know, you go from the screenplay to shooting it to editing it. It's these 3 major elements that make up putting a film together. And then of course it's the distribution and marketing of the film. And then of course it's on the screen. You get to see it. You know, so I got all of that experience and I went on to work with other directors and it was great. And in between that, because you know, I'm freelance and most people that work in the film industry, whether it's production or post-production, you're considered a freelance person. So you literally are hustling from film to film, right? And there's so many different things that you have to learn that have nothing to do with film. It has to do with you and how you approach and how you move through and navigate through this industry. And it's a big industry. And you have to learn it on your own. A lot of times you learn it on your own. It's great when you are in a situation where you have a mentor, or what I call, since I'm a woman tour. Somebody that helps guide you through all of this. I particularly didn't. I honestly, I didn't. I laid back, I listened, and I absorbed as much as I could. I did not go to film school. I did go to school. My undergraduate degree is in communications, television communications. I made a decision to push myself into this industry. And I made a good decision because it fit me. The whole creative world and the creative mindset is a good fit for me. So, you know, I did that for many years, and then I got married. And then I happened to get married to somebody that was also creative, a designer who designs and builds instruments. So I worked with his company and I did that PR work. I put together a press release. I approached people like Mos Def, the rapper, singer, music producer, Wyclef Jean, the guitarist, and a variety of other people. And I taught myself what to do. I got some advice here and there, but I pretty much taught myself what to do to help him out. And then in between all of those things that I just mentioned, and I'm not mentioning everything, I was doing my own writing. I was writing. I wanted to write. I wanted to express myself with the written word. Since I was around all these very talented writers, directors, producers, so on and so forth, I wanted to try my hand at it. And I did. So fast forward to now, during the pandemic, 2020, I got an idea. I came up with an idea to tell the story of a genre of music that was created by by a community that's been underrepresented, an urban community. And they they created this genre called house music. And house music, the name house music, actually comes from the city of Chicago. And comes from the city of Chicago because the city of Chicago actually produced the first house music track. And it was this club called the Warehouse. And all they did is chop off ware and call it house music. House music originally comes from the LGBTQ community in New York and New Jersey. Straight people like us, and I say this in the film, we kind of hijacked their party. And the mixture of communities just made it better, which is like with anything. You know, if you have a unified force in life, it makes your campaign and your cause that much stronger if you can work things out. And in a creative sense, it did work out, you know, but the credit does go to the Black LGBT community right there in Chicago and in New York City. You had some very, very popular clubs, like I said, the Warehouse, and in New York City was Paradise Garage, the Loft, and a variety of other clubs that made this music what it is today. Obviously, over the years, it's been 35, 40 years since the original movement started, and it was a very underground movement. The genre, as with most genres, evolved. And it's evolved to fast forward to 2022. Two of the biggest musicians and music artists, Beyonce and Drake, decided to do house music tracks. And as far as I'm concerned, you know, you talk to some house music purists and they didn't appreciate the fact that, you know, those two artists delved into doing house music tracks. But again, my feelings about that, everything evolves, you know, and I think honestly that the fact that Beyonce and Drake decided to do those house music tracks, it's good for the culture. It is. Because what they're doing is they're introducing their followers and their fans to this genre of music. It's dance music. It's uplifting music. You will never ever find any lyric in house music in the house music genre that's negative, that's against women, it's not even really political. It's a very there's some mild political vibes, but ain't nothing. They don't want to. It's not about that. It's about the people. It's about camaraderie. It's about, you know, moving your body. It uplifts your spirit. You know, it's a genre of music that really is good for the people. I often say that house music is the United Nations of music, because if you ever go to an outdoor event anywhere in this country or the world, you will see every example of humanity. Every example, age-wise, color-wise, religion, what doesn't matter. Handicapped people, disabled people. That's what house music does. It's so good for the person, human beings, mind, body, and spirit. That's the definition of house music. And I just decided, going back to why I started this, I decided that I want to tell the story of the community and the culture, the house music community and culture. And I'm from New York City, and my neighboring state is New Jersey. New Jersey happens to have one of the most exciting, colorful house music communities in the country. Not to say anything against Chicago or Baltimore or South, none of these other states that my film ultimately the documentary series will deal with. But New Jersey, the state of New Jersey actually inspired me, along with my own love of house music, to actually want to do this story. So what I was doing prior to even having the idea to do a story in a film, I inserted myself into that community, because again, it's the neighboring state, easy for me to get there. So they have events all throughout the year prior to the pandemic, all throughout the year, 365 days out of the year. You can go to New Jersey and find a house music event inside, and during the months of the end of May sometimes into November, they have outdoor events, all free. Most of them are free. And you have all these different DJ producers that put on these events to bring the community together. Black, white, blue, green, old, young, doesn't matter. It's quite a sight to see it. But it's really the music. And my film, my story, I decided to take the angle of telling the story of the symbiotic relationship between the DJ, producer, and the dancers. I decided against telling a historical story about house music, because I thought it would be much more entertaining and interesting to tell another angle of house music, to introduce the audience to the community and the culture. It's a very eclectic culture, you know, and it's a very dance-driven culture. So you have a constant moving and melding of bodies, which means activity. It's always good for your body to move, whether you're working out in the gym, whether you're walking, but dancing is a great form of exercise. And as far as house music affecting your mind and your overall attitude, always good. Great medicine, natural medicine. Nothing wrong with it. It's music. Whatever genre of music does something to people, right? So it started in 2020 at the height of the pandemic. And I say, as people and bodies were leaving the world, I decided to birth a creative project. And I immediately, when I had made an absolute decision to, okay, I'm going to do this, I picked up the phone and I called some of my filmmaker friends. And I was actually quite surprised the immediate reaction that I got from most of my friends, which is, do it. Do it. Absolutely do it. This is a great story. And the angle that you're approaching, fantastic. And, you know, full disclosure, most of those people are also house music enthusiasts. But I didn't realize that at the time. Honestly, I did not. So I learned a few things about my friends. So I was not the only one in the room that had this love of house music. So it made it easier for me to have discussions and, you know, shoot some ideas and just have these conversations with them because they understood it. So we went from there. So I started the birth of the project actually started sometime in May of 2020. Our first shoot was in September, I think, of 2020. It's an outside shoot in Coney Island, which is where a lot of house music events take place. And that was successful. And then I targeted in my own pre-production and research, I had to actually get on the phone and call and speak to a long list of DJs. In my pre-production, again, I wrote down a wish list of DJs and producers that I would like to be in my film. And again, everybody's shut down. The whole world is shut down. And it worked in my favor because people were available to talk, you know, as opposed to if this didn't happen, if this worldwide event didn't happen, I might not have gotten through to a long list of people, well-known people. So the first person I reached out to in terms of a DJ producer just happened to be a reggae artist's producer, Shaggy. And that producer's name is Sting International. He's a 2-time Grammy Award winning producer. And I pinched myself when I was on the phone. When I finally got to him, I pinched myself like, I'm talking to Sting. This is great. You know, so I pitched the idea to him. And I knew I had to pitch the idea to everyone I spoke to, whether I knew you or didn't know you. So I wrote myself a short script, a pitch script. And again, this is all new. Never did this before. I've worked in the film business. I've worked with people in music and so on and so forth, but I've never done this. So, but I did it. And I just grew the confidence before I got on the phone. And that was a successful conversation. And at the end of the conversation, I realized that he was interested. But, you know, you have the talk, that you have the person that's interested. Then it's actually, are we going to do this together? So there was certain things that we needed to talk about and work out. Ultimately, yes. So while I was on, my interest in calling him was to see if I could shoot him, if I could interview him. In the midst of the conversation, maybe hour and a half in, maybe the 2-hour mark, I'm not sure. It dawned on me, wait a minute. Why don't you ask this man to help produce this with you? I thought that was a better, you know, in addition to the interview, I was going to need some help getting in contact with some other bigger producers. And it was just, the light bulb just went off in my mind. Let me ask him. And I did. And he said, okay, you know, let's talk about it. And we did. And that's what happened. So I knew I was going to interview him. And I had 4 other people that I wanted to interview. And he made it possible. He made it easier for me to contact the next big 2-time Grammy Award winning producer, whose name is Louis Vega. Louis Vega has a production team called Masters at Work. And that is Masters at Work is Louis Vega and Kenny Dope Gonzalez. And they are a powerhouse. You know, I mean, Louis Vega is not just a producer and DJ, he's a band leader. He plays instruments. His uncle was Hector Lavoe, very well-known Spanish singer, artist. And that took a while. So we're talking just the timeline, 2020, 2021, 2022. In 2020, we started the shoot. In 2021, we continued shooting. Towards the end of 2021, we started the editing process. Now, the editing process was quite interesting because, again, we're dealing with COVID. We're dealing with people that just got COVID, and they have to take that 7 days or 14 days or whatever it was to heal and get better. So I found an editor, or one of my the cinematographer and one of my other producers, Leslie Saltis Evans. She found an editor, Amir Muhammad, young man, and we realized, you know what, we're gonna have to split up this editing process. We can't edit all the time in person in a studio. And by the way, the studio that I used to edit, Sting International provided me with the studio, his major recording studio. He said, you can use my studio. Okay. So we decided and realized we can't do it in person all the time because of COVID, right? And what we did is Zoom edit. Like we're Zooming right now. We, figured it out, and I would be at home and we would Zoom edit. And we got a lot done. So, but it made the editing process a little longer for a variety of reasons. So 2020 was shooting, 2021 was finishing shooting, 2021 we're also starting to edit and finishing the edit into a little bit into 2020, into 2022. And then we're done in 2022. And I have my first official screening of a short film in 2022. At the end of 2022, in December of 2022, I found a screening studio, which is a real live movie house in Soho, downtown Manhattan, to screen my film. It seats about 67 people. And obviously I invited all of the people that were part of the film, the dancers, some of the DJs, the people that worked on the film, and other people. And it was a pretty exciting moment for me. What I didn't realize when I walked into the movie house was they had a marquee outside. And that marquee was rolling around in a digital form, very colorful. The music got me, and it blew me away. Wow, I got to see that on the marquee. We had two screenings that day, December 10th, I think it was. And
that's my birthday.
December 10th. Wow. Happy birthday.
All right.
So yeah, that screening was December 10th. And it was two screenings. The film is less than 20 minutes long. Again, for the audience, this is a short film, right? And my idea of producing and directing a short film is to allow me to launch into the actual larger project, a documentary series. But I wanted to create a calling card for myself in the form of a film. So people can see, not just listen to my pitch and listen to the idea that I have for this story and the film, but actually see an example of it. So it originally started out where I was just creating a promo film, a promo video rather, which is also called a sizzle reel. And while we were editing, I just decided to, let's just, make this into a short film. We have enough footage. And that's what happened. So, so in 2022, we're done. Now it's at the end of the year. 2023 rolls in, which is where we just left 2023, right? This is January 1st, 2024. But at the top of 2023, I literally woke up and said, I think I want to enter this film, the short film, into the Martha's Vineyard African American Film Festival. I thought about it, and I didn't say anything to anyone. And then I thought about it again, and maybe a week went by. And then I started to share my idea with one of the producers that worked with me on the short film. And he said, let's do it. Let's go for it. And then somebody else that I worked with to help me put together the budget for the actual docuseries, Butch Robinson, I shared that with him, and he said, absolutely, go for it. What can you lose? Just submit it, because that's what you do. During all these festivals, you submit your film, and you sit back and you wait to see if it's been selected. Well, I submitted it. That was sometime in March. sometime in April, I received an email telling me The Music Got Me has been selected to be in the Martha's Vineyard African American Film Festival. And to be quite honest with you, I sat there and I looked at my screen and I said, there's no way. There's no way that it was accepted. And now I have to prepare to go to the festival, which is in Martha's Vineyard, which is where, by the way, I got married, on a beach in Martha's Vineyard, and hadn't been back there in forever. So the festival lasts for a week. I plan to be there for a week. My film screened on a Wednesday, August 9th, at 12:45. I was very nervous. So, I had to put together a website really quick, and a variety of things that I had to put together really quick. And for most film festivals in New York or throughout the world, you have to prepare your film to go to the festival. So there's certain technical things that you have to do to get your film prepared. And that's what I had to do. You have to submit it to this place in Los Angeles, and they convert it and blah, blah, all this stuff. So it's ready for that theater at the festival. So all of that happened, and that was in August. During all of this, the year of 2023, I was shooting footage of a variety of festivals that took place in New York, New Jersey, South Carolina, Chicago. Chicago has one of the biggest Chicago has one of the largest house music festivals. It's called The Chosen Few. And it's a Chosen Few production team. And one of those members is Terry Hunter. Terry Hunter was handpicked by Beyonce's team in 2022 to do a remix of her album that she dropped called Renaissance, it just toured. He was handpicked to do that remix, and he was up for a Grammy. He didn't win in 2023, but that same person, Terry Hunter, is now up for another Grammy for Mariah Carey's song. I think it's called Workout, for the remix he did on that. I had a meeting with Terry Hunter in April. Went quite well. I did exactly what I've done with most of the DJ producers I spoke to. Pitch your idea. And he loved it. He actually has a project, a 3-part documentary series out that has to do with hip hop and house, because they run parallel. Those two genres run parallel. So I got him on board. So it took me about 4 or 5 months to talk to his PR people and all the people that are connected to the Chosen Few event that takes place in July, the first week in July in Chicago. I wanted to shoot that. I have a very small team of people that I work with, and I'm operating on 0 budget, but that didn't stop me. So I get all the press credentials and I get everything I need to go to Chicago to shoot, to be on stage, to be backstage during this weekend-long festival, and I did it. South Carolina also, one of the only women house music DJ producers out of South Carolina that introduced the genre of house music to Columbia, South Carolina. And she gets a lot of press. Her name is DJ Kelly Kell. I went to South Carolina for the weekend to shoot her event. So my idea for 2023, while everything else is going on, festivals, me writing, whatever I needed to do for The Music Got Me, I had to also create a production schedule to shoot a variety of festivals. So I have this footage. Once I raised the money to actually work on my documentary series, I already have footage, but I really wanted to capture the footage in 2023, because if everything goes right and everything aligns in the universe and the stars, and I get the money to shoot this, I will have footage from 2023, which is what I want. I want footage for 2024, so 2023 was a very, very busy year for me. Successful in a lot of different ways, minor successes. A major success would have been, I would have raised a number of thousands and upon thousands of dollars so I can start shooting. But that didn't happen. So I still have a regular job. And that's not a problem either. So that's really it in a very long, I know it took me a while to get there, but that's a little bit about who I am, and, you know, bring it fast forward to present day and the project that I'm working on right now, which is called The Music Got Me, about house music. It's a journey throughout the community and culture of house music.
I'm going to tell you, Kristen, I don't know if you remember the first day you and I met at the little cafe on 79th Street.
Oh my God, yes, I do.
York and was it First Avenue? We sat in a cafe and we were talking. I was smitten by you and your talent, and here I am. I was a working actor and model in New York, but we had a kinship, a friendship with a mutual friend, Jason.
Jason Arrington, yes.
Yep, Jason. He had passed away, and he connected because I had trained him at Sports Training Institute, and I had shared a screenplay that I had originally shared with a screenwriter by the name of Richard LaGrevenus that did Fisher King and Bridges in Madison County.
Yeah.
And he told me I was a great storyteller. I wasn't a great screenwriter, but I was a great storyteller. And when I shared it with Jason at that time was working at, I think, CBS or NBC.
CBS Sports.
Yep. And he said, you know something? I've always wanted to produce a film. And Jason and I sat hours and hours and hours together. And Jason did the same thing you did. He says, I got someone I want you to talk to. And you and I sat in that cafe and I listened to you, and it was your passion, your energy. I knew nothing. I will tell you, I knew nothing. I pretended like I knew everything, like I was ready, set, go. I had taken notes. I read a couple books before I met you. And I knew from that day on, day one, that this was going to be a relationship and a friendship that was going to last forever. And when I think I told you that whenever I do the deal,
yep, you did.
You've been that you're really important. Yep, and I told you I've been working on it for years and years. And I always said, originally you were starting out as an editor, and I said that this was the editing job. But when I look at the fact that I said the deal has to be done by a female director.
I remember when we had the conversation we did.
And there's only one female that I know that can direct the deal. You've known it from the first line to the last line. You've known it for the promise I made to Jason before he passed away. And listening to you today has taken me back from day one, and life travels in full circles. And I can only say I am so proud of you that you've never given up on your dream.
Thank you. I appreciate it. It's been quite a journey, but yeah, thank you. I appreciate that.
Well, you know what they said, difficult becomes easy. And look at what you've done. You've never said I can't. You've never, and since I've known you, said I can't do it, because you can learn how to do it. You can get the experience, and what everything in life about everything we do is giving you a chance.
Absolutely.
Now, I love the story. And matter of fact, the 7 questions I had listed on here, you covered already, with the exception of, how you come up with the title, The Music Got Me.
That was a collaborative effort with myself and the producer I was working with, Sting International, Leslie Saltis Evans, Sonia Gonzalez Martinez, Don Robinson. We all put our heads together. And the one thing that I said at the onset, I asked everybody to go home and think about house music and think about a perfect title. Let's just brainstorm this. And we did for months. I said, when the title is mouthed, I'm going to know. It's going to be like, bing, that's what it is. And we were one day in Sting's studio, and we would just, again, brainstorming. And I can't remember if Sting said it or if someone else said it, but it came from something Sting was talking about in terms of, because there is a song called "The Music Got Me" by a producer who passed away, but he was very instrumental in the house music community. and his name escapes me right now. I feel really, really bad about that. But so anyway, that afternoon in his studio, the music got me. Somebody said the music got me, and I'm like, that's it. That's it. That's it. We'll have to deal with, if we're gonna deal with any, we're gonna have to deal with the
Trademark.
trademarking. And I already spoke to intellectual property attorney about this, and we did the research and so on and so forth. So far, we're fine. So once somebody mouthed the music got me, I said, that's it. We had a long list of titles. Actually, the first one, if I remember correctly, was called For the Love of House Music. But I always knew that's too long. In terms of a title, I did not want it to be very long. I needed it to be very succinct, and I needed people to draw an image as soon as they hear it, right? So anybody in the music business, or anybody that loves music, or anybody in the house music community, once you say the music got me, it's an immediate reaction, right? And it's upbeat. The music got me. And that's, if you say that title 3 times, it will get you, because that's what happens with house music. It gets you, it pulls you in, right? My first introduction to house music was in the late 80s. I went to college right here in New York, and a group of friends said something about, let's go to the Paradise Garage. I didn't know anything about the Paradise Garage.
I know about Paradise.
Yeah, that day, that night, my whole social landscape changed, because it was such a great experience walking into a club. Matter of fact, even before you got into the club, you would hear this. You're walking up the cement, runway, right?
Yeah.
So it would take you from it's the front door, but before you get to the front door, it's easily about maybe a half an hour. And on that line, again, who's on that line trying to get into that club? Every member of humanity. Black, white, rich, poor, gay, straight, Indian, from Iran, doesn't matter. Everybody's on that line. I witnessed with my own eyes police officers, nurses taking their uniforms off and putting on shorts. It's an amazing imagery, amazing scene, and a coming together of people for one thing, the love of music, right? So once I got into that club, the experience was so different. And the reason why it was different, as opposed to any other dance club in New York City, most of the clubs in New York City, and I'm sure other places, you would hear the music that you heard on the radio. Once you walked into the Paradise Garage, that iconic DJ producer whose name was Larry Levan was suspended up in the air, and the music that he played, it just changed me. I became very snooty. I became like, oh, I'm not going to those clubs. I'm going to this. And even if I didn't go to the club, I wanted to listen to the music. I wanted to be a part of that culture. But after I got out of college, it stopped. I got thrust into working in film, TV business, and I really didn't have time to be social. And then it came back to me in the summer of maybe 2016, 2015, 2014, 2015. And that's when I infused myself into the New Jersey house music community. And that's when the wheels started going in terms of wanting to tell a story, my story. Listen, there's a bunch of other people out there. If you want to tell a story of house music, go for it. Within genres of storytelling, a variety of people tell dramatic stories, comedic stories, horror stories. So everybody can do it, but nobody's decided to do what I've done. So I feel great about that. And I really want to honor the community. I want to honor the culture. I want to honor the people that you don't hear stories about this community and this culture. I want to tell that story, and I want the world to know what this really means, and the effect on people, the effect on regular people. This is not about celebrities. There's going to be an aspect of the celebrity. There's going to be a celebrity aspect to this story, because guess what? There's a lot of celebrities that love house music. you'd be surprised, and that's going to be told too. Another aspect of my story when I tell a full-length story is about the young people. It's about people right now, young men and women that are learning to be a DJ, to be a producer, house music. Young men and women that are learning and understanding the dance community. Young men and women that are learning to write house music tracks, that are already a part of a youthful house music community throughout the country. The largest market in house music worldwide is South Africa. And those are young people. They're not older people. Because right now, house music has a wide range in ages that follow the genre. You can go from 25 to 65. And that's the other aspect of house music I absolutely love. When you go to these outdoor events, it's a family affair. All these groups of families come together. They don't always dance, but there's a core group of house music dancers. And you talk to people, they bring their lawn chairs, they bring their picnic food to just hang out in the parks and such. And they just say, I just love the vibe. That person could be 65, 70 years old, and they're just taking it easy. They're enjoying the park environment. They're absolutely enjoying the music, and they're just enjoying watching people enjoy themselves dancing, So that's the other aspect of my story that I want to tell about the youth and what they're doing, what they're bringing to the house music culture and the community, and how they're going to let this genre thrive and move it into the future. It's great. And I've already interviewed some of the young people.
All right. I love the title. And the reason why I asked you that, because I speak a lot about the power of your words and branding and being your own brand. And the title, The Music's Got Me. I always say when you come up with, or you're looking for a title, something to name your show, your podcast, your movie, or whatever, write it up and see how it looks on a t-shirt. If it looks good on a t-shirt or a baseball cap or whatever, you got it. You look at the company, Life is Good, how they came up with the title of their show. It's the same identical way that you guys came up with The Music's Got Me. I do want to ask a small favor. I want to let people know how to get in touch with you, because I know that right off the top of my head, I've got people in the back of my mind that I know I'm going to reach out to, that's going to help you turn your film into the documentary into a feature film. But how do people reach you?
Well, there's two immediate ways people can reach me. We do have an isolated Facebook page, The Music Got Me. We have an Instagram page, The Music Got Me Film. I have a website, themusicgotme.com. You can go to the website and learn a little bit more about myself, my team, my short film production team, and a little bit about the project. It's a very interactive, fun website, very colorful, lots of videos, lots of pictures, behind the scenes pictures, some photos of the Martha's Vineyard African American Film Festival. You just learn a little bit more about house music and about the community and culture, and about what I want to do with once we launch into the larger project, to launch the documentary series.
All right.
So again, themusicgotme.com, the website, The Music Got Me Facebook page, The Music Got Me Film for Instagram.
All right. So you've already went through this series of questions that I wanted to ask, but you answered them already in a beautiful, compelling story. But I'm also going to ask my listeners, AI is fastly coming around the corner. There's a lot of do's and don'ts, pros and cons, and question marks when it comes to attaching the creative part of the industry versus the capitalistic part to the industry. And I'm on a massive campaign in order for our culture to start investing and keeping our culture and our film, our music, in our communities. I'm going to say Willie McGee, you know who you are. I'm going to say Frank Gwynn, you know who you are. I'm going to say film director and good friend in California, George Lee, you know who you are. And I'm going to reach out to the community that always says that I wish I could have been the person that invested in that film. And I know you're not going to ask this, so I'm going to ask for you. Um, I would like for you to go ahead and help Miss Kristen Johnson make this into a feature film. I don't know what the budget is. I'm not going to put it out there because that's her business, whatever. But I also know that I have relationships and connections with people that are connected to people that are running the floors of the NBA that can help you, that are talking about uplifting their community. Now it's time for you to go ahead and put your hat on the table and say, I'm part of this project. Heather Beverly, that name sounds familiar, Frankie Beverly and Mays. I'm going to ask you to pull your people together and reach out to Kristen and help her put this together. I mean, she's already got some big names. This is a win-win for everyone because not only do I see the branding becoming, something big with merchandise and so forth, I also see a weekend series of how this music is played. I am also looking at Country Western. They've got a 24 state tour of all these top people. What if you put the spoken word people together on tour along with house music, and we did 15 cities and brought everyone together in a peaceful
Right.
weekend
That's right.
of everyone getting together and just put some love on it. That's my ask to my listeners, to stand up and be part of something great. Be a part of this story. You see the way Kristen tells her story. It's beautiful. You don't get a chance to sit at the table with, Penny Marshall, Denzel Washington, Robert De Niro, Ron Howard, if you don't have the gift. And this is a gift that needs for you to give. So, Kristen, with that said, I put my ask out there, ASAK. I've always asked my guests if they had one ask, one dream to come true. Now, I have a very unique following, and I am so grateful for the people that subscribe. Because when I ask my people to help, they step up on the plate and they help. They don't drive by an accident. They stop and help. I love the people that like and follow and view for longer than 3.5 minutes, whatever. I appreciate you. That's how you keep me on the air. But, Kristen, if you had one ask, ASK, you could have one person make your dream come true, maybe 4 or 5 make it come true. What would that dream be?
I would have to say the dream of seeing this story come to life. The story of The Music Got Me, the journey into house music, coming to life and coming to a theater near you, a streaming platform near you. My dream is to have a very wide audience for this. My dream is to partner with somebody that believes in this story, in the concept of the story, and that's willing to partner with me, find the necessary funds so we can get those cameras rolling in 2024. This has been a journey from the end of 2020. Now we're in 2024. A lot still needs to be done. My idea to shoot this film is to travel throughout the United States, where house music is thriving and is very prominent, and to interview the different DJs in those different cities and states, and the dancers, and to create this just very entertaining, colorful, and exciting dance music story. To keep into people's mind, to keep that story and that a genre in people's minds for a long time coming. It's very uplifting. It's very joyous, just the story and the idea. And that's my dream. I want somebody out there in that big world to contact me and say, let's go. Let's do this.
And how do they contact you? Again, speak slowly.
Okay. My website is themusicgotme.com. Facebook page, The Music Got Me. Instagram, The Music Got Me Film. And once you go to the website, you can send me your email. You can also email me at kmjfilm filmworks@gmail.com. Again, KMJ filmworks@gmail.com. And I will get back to you immediately. Let's go. Let's make some music.
Kristen, I'm going to talk to you off camera. We're going to make some dreams come true. To my listeners, I ran the show a little bit long because it was just too good to cut off in 35 minutes. So hopefully you will listen to this, maybe if not in one part, but in two parts. But this is a person that you definitely should know. I may even bring her back for my special series of showcasing people that are successful and sharing their secrets or their steps to success, to have her as one of the top 100 people with us to share their secret. So I'll talk to you, Kristen, later on about that. But we've covered a lot of information. We've learned. You know, my grandfather used to always say education is not designed to make you comfortable, but it's designed to make you think. Creative people do just that. If you like what you've heard, you can go to our YouTube page and go to RMK Productions and Network, and you can subscribe. Remember what I said about my people that subscribe. High to call action people. If you'd like to be a guest on the show or give your feedback, email us at info@rmkproductions.org. I am so grateful that you've come today. I am just so grateful. And
thank you, Kevin. And I want to thank Talk with Kevin and Sons. Kevin and Son, Talk with Kevin and Son. I appreciate you having me on your show. My name is Kristen M. Johnson, filmmaker, storyteller, and Happy New Year. Happy New Year.
All right, and I'm going to have you do that again when we do our teaser reel. That was just perfect.
Great.
But again, to our listeners and to our fans, I thank you. I thank you. 2024 is going to be so special. Look at what we're leading off with. Look at what we're leading off with. It can only get better from here. We're starting at the top, and we're going to surpass the clouds, and we're all going to be dancing on the stars. I mean, drop your phone and look up. Again, I thank you. My grandfather also said, is when you get to a point that you can help someone else, it is your duty to do so. He said, reach one, teach one, and we'll fade to black. And we're out. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen.